Greetings, family. Welcome to the Power of Tranquility. My name is Arlene Kahet, and I help teach people how to have more harmonious relationships, as well as speak their truth. So tonight we're going to talk about, and if that sounds like you, that you wanting these things, please go ahead, like, subscribe, and share with other people about this content. So tonight I'm going to talk about how marrying someone that you don't like is actually a form of self-loathing. What I will share is that the reason that I'm coming up with this particular subject matter is that on the Clock app, there has been this talk about how there are men out here who love but don't like their partners. And it is rather strange to me that this is a thing. When I have talked to some of my male friends about this, and including my husband, what they will say is, well, there is a benefit to being married to somebody that you don't like. But the thing is that marriage is such a deep and powerful commitment that I don't think that they're really taking seriously the type of consequences that go along with making that type of union with each other, someone that they don't necessarily have an affinity for. So let me just explain my thought about loving a person and liking. Like love and like are, from my perception, on the same scale. And it indicates that you have an affinity for a person. However, when you're in that place of loving a person and not liking them, in my world or in my experience, the like can a lot of times overshadow the love that I may have for a person. Now, the thing is that there is a possibility that there is some type of neglect going on in the relationship that, that affects the affinity, or perhaps you've grown beyond the person that you had once had a liking for, and then that shifted. But more likely than not, because there is not a liking of each other, more than likely would end up separating from that individual, or in vice versa, whether or not they no longer have an affinity for me, that they are free to go on their way. But when a person makes a commitment like marriage, there are so many spiritual, mental, and emotional consequences that go along with that type of commitment. Not in addition to that, there is karma that's associated with, making a union with an individual that you do not have an affinity for. Years ago, and here's my continued thoughts. Love and like are on a same scale. The spiritual implication of uniting with a person that you don't like is that, there is you, the other person, and then the Godhead of that relationship. When you're in a place of not liking that individual, what type of energy does that Godhead create when you two come together? And is the other person who's in the relationship, are they aware that you do not like them, that there is this strong possibility, because of the not liking, you would more than likely end up abusing the individual that you don't like, be it mentally, spiritually, perhaps physically, especially, if that like turns into a deep kind of contempt. there are so many consequences to an individual making that type of decision that I don't think that people fully understand that. And then in addition to that, like when you make that type of decision, why would you even do that to yourself? I mean, what is the energy? What is the thought process behind that level of creating unhappiness for yourself? Because the thing is that if you do not like the individual that you are married to, what is the possibility of you creating any type of happiness for that person? That means that, or that person creating any happiness with you. Now, not we are all sort of responsible for our own, divine imperative, in sense that we are in charge of our own joy, but come on, you would more than likely create unnecessary strife. It is no wonder that if people are making decisions like this in order to do or gain whatever benefit that there is from being married to somebody that they don't like, that is just a powder keg for the possibility of creating great discontent. So, I talked about a little bit about the mental, the spiritual, but let's go to the mental. If you do not have an affinity for the person that you are married to, what is the likelihood that you're even going to care about what it is that they think, what it is that they feel? In essence, a person is making themselves more vulnerable to you when they get in relationship with you and are possibly married to you, and you don't like them. There's a part of you that is not going to care. There's a part of you that is going to do just the bare minimum, not in order to be in that relationship or to sustain it. It is no wonder that many women or many people end up leaving when they realize that their partner does not like them or care about them. Like you can really, you're creating a situation where you are creating so much discontent and so much bad feelings because of that type of decision that you've made. So what I will say is that an individual who makes this type of decision has to really give some strong consideration to why they would make a decision like that. Because you are, in essence, telling the divine forces of, telling the divine that you do not care about your happiness and you do not care about the happiness of others, and you have not given full consideration to the decision-making process of unifying your life with these other individuals. And then the thing is that this decision that you've made may actually have domino effects with the other people who are in your experience. Whether or not it is the children, whether or not it's the in-laws, your own parents, you're creating even more strife for yourself. Anyway, that is it for my talk this evening. But please feel free to comment on this, because I would really like the opportunity to know what others think. Anyway, may peace and power be with you wherever you go. Blessings, family.